More and more, it appears that growth takes the right combination of financial and human capital. So Will, can you tell us where you find the best team members for your business?
Well, that's very simple for me, given how long I've been doing this. When we started the company 2004, the first person I called is a guy who worked for me 34 years before that, because I needed somebody I could trust. The company was small enough that can't do everything yourself, so I needed a COO that I could turn everything over to, because what we quickly found is that searching for capital in Arizona is a full-time job. The second person that I hired is a guy I had only known for about 24 years. My point being that in the beginning, the core group has to be people you know, trust, and understand their capabilities. I'm not just talking hiring friends. I'm talking finding those key people to whom you can turn over things, give a set of goals, and let them perform for you.
And Steve, what about your thoughts on the question? What are the people you've located to help you succeed?
We all know the definition of a brilliant scientist, right? There's one sure thing you want to look for in a brilliant scientist. It's somebody that's so smart, he or she makes someone else rich. But looking for talent's hard. We started Flagship about 2 years ago. It was in response to the need for pathology in pharma. There's about one pathologist for every billion in sales for the large pharmas. So Pfizer, 60, 70 billion in sales, 60 or 70 pathologists, although on any given day that kind of changes. Novartis, 40 or 50. But these pathologists are scattered all over. So a key thing for our business is how are we going to attract, in an Alzheimer's study, the top veterinary pathologist who really understands the animal models in Alzheimer's, and then also on an MD side, someone who really understands autopsies in Alzheimer's. So, I kind of thought everybody would move to Flagstaff, but it turns out only a few pathologists will, even though it's beautiful up there. And so we have a guy who works out of Cape Cod, somebody else out of Boulder, and a number of other places. And so what we do is basically we just let pathologists be wherever they are, and then we have a core team right in Flagstaff. And even though we do a very digital business, we basically do pathology, we do it digitally. It's kind of like Google Earth for the microscope. You need a lot of talent, and it needs to be very well-trained talent. These are undergrads that have biology and computer science skills. So we have a partnership with NAU through NACIT where we actually train right out of the histology classes. We took those classes digital, so they're experiencing that in their undergrad. They come right in and work for Flagship. So local talent right there, we're growing right in Flagstaff, and then kind of a global network of pathologists that really basically live wherever they want to live. And I wish it was Flagstaff.
Well, along with each of your teams, you're all great examples of people and organizations that are moving the Arizona biosciences forward faster. Richard, what are some of the challenges you have faced along the way, and how have you overcome them?
Well, I think the challenges of working in the biosciences industry in Arizona are different for whether you're a lab, whether you're a biotech company, whether you're a service provider like my company, or whether you're now a later stage biotech focused on sales and you're working with finding manufacturing for your drug product. For us, one of the big challenges obviously is you need to find customers and you need to find employees. So, and I could find, to date, I haven't really found either in Arizona, to be honest. So the amount of revenue we gain from local companies is zero. So I have to go outside of the state to find every customer we have. That being said, I'm a Sun Devil. So I went to school here. I'm finishing my PhD here, and I'm actually an industrial engineer by training, so I stumbled into this industry. But certainly, obviously, the opportunities for collaboration here exist. But I think and obviously I've attended these meetings for the last few years. And I got to say, while the opportunities exist, I'm not sure that the effort is put in collaboratively by everybody to make it come to fruition. And other colleagues that I speak to in industry that are in the audience here on the service provider side, I think, similarly would say, yeah, that I don't know that the biotech companies that do exist in Arizona necessarily look first to the service providers in Arizona as an option for being able to pursue their clinical development pathways.
You brought up a good point about customers and selling in Arizona. In Virginia, maybe talk about some of your challenges and the struggles you faced of being an Arizona biotech company and selling your product here.
Thank you. We've been very fortunate, I think, to be based in Arizona. Early on when we were raising capital, we were able to raise it here in Arizona. I came from San Diego and had approached the San Diego, San Francisco, New York market, and they said you need to get capital in Arizona first. And this is a true story. I didn't know anyone in Arizona in venture capital. I called the Chamber of Commerce. They emailed me a list, and I called every single person on the list. And we got our Series A financing from Solstice Capital in 2002, and they have invested with us through Series B and C. So we're very fortunate for them. And Regenesis, we've been able to grow. We're currently about 75 people. Half of those are salespeople that are spread throughout the United States, and we really, have to search outside of the state to fill those positions. But I'm happy to say that every employee inside the company has come from the Arizona community, and we post all of our job openings on our website. And that's really how we attract a very loyal, hardworking, and dedicated work team. In the last 4 years, I don't think we've had one person leave our company from the Scottsdale office.
Okay. Maria, I know your company has done some pretty exciting things recently. Would you like to share some of your thoughts on some of your successes and challenges and how you overcame them?
Thanks. We're a diagnostic company working on blood testing products for multiple sclerosis, and we're up to 6 people now, so that's very exciting. But our challenges reflect the stage of the business that we're in. Being so early like this, human capital as well as capital have been our early challenges. And so some of the successes, I would say, first from a human capital perspective, we needed several different types of expertise right up front. So we didn't need whole people, to be honest. We need pieces of expertise. And so we needed researchers, and our researcher came from Harvard, and our developer came from Becton Dickinson. But we were able to put together some flexibility so that they could offer a slice of their time for us while they're doing some other consulting. This way, it allowed us to get all these different expertise areas in regulatory and research and development. And part of the way we've been able to keep them, because they've been on the team for 3 to 4 years, is we give them some incentives through different types of option plans. So, there's more in it for them than just the capital, and they see the opportunity, and they've stuck with us. The other thing is that Arizona has a good health care plan. So even though some of these people are part-time, we've been able to capitalize on the small business health care plan and still give them benefits, because these people need benefits even when it's part-time. On the capital side, we worked with the Desert Angels actively to get in front of them, even before we were quite at the stage that they would invest. And so how did that help us? When we applied for the Arizona Commerce Authority Innovation Grant, having people aware of what we were doing on these panels helped to spread the good word and give input. So the Arizona Commerce Authority resulted in almost $250,000 investment. So those are the kinds of funds that are necessary. And once we had the grant, lo and behold, the Desert Angels started to come in. So it's all a matter of timing and working it and collaborating and constantly working it.
Okay. Mark, maybe you shed a couple of thoughts too. Contract manufacturing, the challenges that your company faced and how you've overcome them in this economy.
Sure. So we're a services company, an engineering services company here in Tempe. And as a services company, one of the biggest challenges we face is we have a collection of employees. We have 60 employees, and we have to constantly be finding the next piece of business. So we're constantly executing projects, but we're also finding the next project at the same time. So that's quite a challenge. And on top of that, of course, we have the economic cycles, which are going up and down. So, you know, I've been with the company 14 years, and it's always a challenge to be competitive in a services business and to keep all your people busy. So some of the things we've done, first I'll echo what some of the other panelists have already said. Having strong people is key. We've been fortunate because we have a relatively diverse set of projects that we run that are really interesting. They're all high tech, so engineers love that kind of stuff. And so we have a steady stream of resumes coming to us, and we've been able to attract and keep really good people. So that's foundational, I think, as you heard from some of the others. In addition to that, our business, we, from the beginning, have set it up in a diversified way. We have a rapid prototyping capability, we have a simulation capability, and we have a product development capability. And those are 3 separate business units. And I cannot think of a single year where all 3 of those areas were down at the same time. So that kind of tends to smooth out the economic cycles, which is very helpful. And then the last thing I'll mention is you got to have good processes. You got to have structured, documented processes that are efficient, that are portable, so that if person A is available in 1 month and person B is available in a second month, they're running to the same playbook and everybody knows how to execute. It's constantly, in a services business, you've got to be efficient. So you have to develop these processes to be efficient. One process in particular I'll mention that we put in place deals with our P&Ls. So what we've done is we've basically created groups throughout our business units and created separate P&Ls for each of them. And over the years, that's been very helpful. So you can take a look at those P&Ls. You know where you're making money. You know where you're losing money. You know where you want to grow the business based upon that information. And you also have accountability for the managers that are running those groups. So the P&Ls have been a great way to help us stay efficient, which in a services business, staying efficient is the key.
We'll come back to capital in a second, but one kind of constant theme I think I'm hearing here is people. And you're all business leaders in the community here, and what do you think Arizona could do better, and maybe they're doing a good job already, but in creating those people that are going to run your companies and help you grow and succeed? And I'll open up that question in the panel.
I think that the story on human capital, it's one of those terms that was created to not talk about people. I have known every one of my employees at least a fourth of their life. And I can't tell you how important it is when you're a startup company or a mid-development company to hire people that you have actually either worked with before or that one of your fellow companies has had as an employee. Because that trust thing goes a long way.
One comment I'd like to add is we've been very active in working with the University of Arizona interns. So while we have to have people who've had a lot of expertise and they're already on our team, but every year we have at least 1 intern. And the nice thing is there are programs like the Professional Science Master's Program that have a combination of business as well as science. And they've been invaluable. So they come to us, in some cases they're working, you know, without a stipend. In other cases we can pay them. But we always have somebody from the U of A on our team.
I'm sure,
One more thing I'd like to say on people. We have a unique program and we've been able to attract some very high caliber people because we have an extremely generous and unique medical reimbursement program, which I can't tell you how important it's been. We pay 100% of every employee's out-of-pocket cost and the entire cost of their medical insurance. So they don't pay a dime in copay, they don't pay a dime for glasses, they don't pay a dime for a filling. And it's amazing what a program like that has done for us. Costs us about $12,000 per employee per year, but it's tremendous if you can approach that kind of thing.
Richard, I think you had a comment you wanted to share.
Yeah, I agree with Mark on when you're on the service provider side, the efficiency that your organization runs is just hugely critical, because obviously we're constantly on a treadmill of filling the gaps, because our overall cost over the year is directly proportional to the amount of work we can push through the given number of employees we have in the company, basically. Any gap you have, if there's a quarter that's slow, you're taking that shortfall in revenue and filling it in somehow in another quarter. So the people that you have and the individual output and execution that they're going to give you, and then ultimate customer satisfaction that's going to translate from that in terms of leading to repeat business and or reduced amount of rework on whatever product you're putting out, whether for us it's data management and statistics, or for Mark an engineering product. The types of individuals that you have on your staff and the training programs in which you put in place are enormously critical. Unfortunately, I'm not sure necessarily how many people are in your company, but at 25, I can't necessarily always hire people that I've known for a quarter of my life, and my life's also been a little shorter. But But so we're about 25 people, and I don't think Mark at 60 people necessarily has known every employee for.
At the beginning, what he said is absolutely right. At the beginning, you got to work with people you trust.
At the beginning, I concur, and I did the same. Actually, I founded my company with a classmate of mine in our master's program, so that was and that was critical for me. But the availability of human capital in Arizona, I think, is one of the centerpieces of the question you're asking. And why isn't there more availability of that in-state versus out-of-state, specifically with background in clinical research, which I'm sure we all deal with when new spots open up, and you're maybe dealing with recruiters, as I am, to try and fill those spots if you don't happen to know somebody, which you're certainly trying to access as much as possible. But I think one of those problems is the amount of service in Arizona, the amount of service industries. There's a limited number of CROs. The amount of actual clinical execution that's done in this state is very limited. How many competitors does my company have in Arizona? As far as I know, it's zero. I'd like competitors. They can steal my employees, I can steal theirs. But it's important for growing the overall market for biotech in Arizona, I feel, as well as that availability of personnel.
And building that critical mass, and once you have that, it starts.
Exactly, and if you look at how many people are employed on a biotech, 5 or 6 people, how many employees are at a CRO, and you start looking at, a certain significant volume.
Right.
And just to follow up on that, I think there's a real natural way to collaborate on the CRO side. I had no expectations of having any business out of Arizona, and probably like you was spending most of my time, maybe not driving down from Flagstaff, but getting on a plane and flying to Boston and New York and San Francisco and in Europe, where all my customers were. And I've been really pleased at how the ability for several different CROs here in the state to work together. We work with TD2 in oncology. There's a new CRO, Imaging Endpoints, which does phenomenal radiology. And these pharmas I'm thinking now statistics would be interesting to collaborate on, but they really like to hear that you've thought about more than just, in my case, the micro-level pathology we're going to do, but also, how does this tie into radiology? How does this tie into the whole statistical analysis in a clinical trial? You can't go to them together, but you can say, while you're working, we've made this very easy for you. Down the hall, down the road from us in Scottsdale, we have a great oncology group, a great pathology group, radiology, stats, and so there's a real natural, I think, way for CROs to come together in Arizona and collaborate.